Have you ever felt that invisible ache when she walks past you without really seeing you? When her eyes light up talking to another man while you stand there, reduced to a shadow of your former self? You're about to discover something that challenges everything you thought you knew about female desire. I'm not talking about cheap tricks or lies, but an ancient understanding that only 3% of men know and apply. A secret code buried under layers of social conditioning that programmed you for failure from the start. That feeling of being forever invisible to the women you're actually interested in ends today. If this already sent a shiver down your spine, like this right now, because what I'm about to reveal could change how women see you forever. What you're about to discover isn't just a method, it's the key to a power that was always within you. Let's awaken the magnetic man women can't get out of their minds. The truth will hit you like a punch to the gut, but you need to hear it now. You've been doing everything wrong. Absolutely everything. It's not your fault. You were programmed from childhood to fail at the game of desire. Society, romantic movies, even your own mother lied to you. They told you that being nice, polite, and always available would make you irresistible. They convinced you that expensive gifts, instant messages, and constant adoration would soften her heart. And where did all that lead you? Straight to the friend zone, to that emotional limbo where your good intentions turned into romantic invisibility. Think about the last time you fell in love. Remember how you responded to her texts in seconds, how you canceled plans with friends when she called, how you memorized every detail of your conversations to show her you cared. And the harder you tried, the further you pushed her desire away. Sound familiar? Of course it does. It's the story that repeats for millions of men who don't understand the fundamental paradox of female desire. The more you chase her, the faster she runs. Seduction doesn't happen in logic. It doesn't unfold in the realm of rational conversations and convincing arguments. It happens in instinct, in her subconscious, in those primitive layers of the brain where decisions are made before the conscious mind even realizes it. Do you think women consciously choose who they fall in love with? Of course not. It's their primitive brain that decides, that ancient part that comes from the caveman days when survival depended on choosing the right mate. And that primitive brain doesn't care about flowers or expensive dinners. It's not moved by romantic gestures straight out of movies. It cares about signals of value, social dominance, and protective ability. It responds to unpredictability, mystery, that calculated danger that awakens her deepest instincts. Look around you. Why does that guy who isn't even that good-looking manage to conquer them all? Because he possesses that unshakable confidence that makes women gravitate around him like planets around the sun. It's not about looks, money, or status. It's about something much more primitive and powerful. The authentic masculine energy he projects. That feeling that he can't be tamed, controlled, or predicted. You were trained to be a good man, but no one taught you to be a magnetic man. Society sold you an idea of castrated, domesticated masculinity. A watered-down version that makes you the best friend, never the passionate lover. They convinced you that repressing your masculine nature was the path to the female heart. A lie, an absolute lie. The qualities they told you to cultivate, gentleness, politeness, respect, are important for being a good human being, but alone, isolated from other more primitive and powerful elements, they don't create that unstoppable attraction that makes a woman unable to get you out of her mind. Tension, mystery, calculated uncertainty. That's what activates her deepest instincts. Do you know the secret no one tells you? Women don't want a man who is always available, who's there every time they snap their fingers. They want a man who has options, a man who doesn't need them to feel complete. Paradoxical, isn't it? The less you need her, the more she'll desire you. It's a contradiction that defies all romantic logic, but it's a psychological truth as solid as the laws of physics. Think about it. When you desperately chase something, its value decreases. When something is scarce, its value increases. It's basic economics applied to human desire. Your attention, time, emotional energy are limited resources. When you give them away indiscriminately, without filter, without value, you become a commodity, something that can be gotten anytime, anywhere, effortlessly. You, who have been begging for attention, who have been available 24/7, who have given away your power without even realizing it, you became predictable. And predictability is the silent killer of desire. It's the poison that slowly kills any possibility of awakening that wild passion every woman hides under layers of civilization. Remember that feeling of helplessness when she mentions the jerk who treats her badly? That knot in your stomach when you see her light up talking about that ex who, according to her, didn't appreciate her? It's not masochism that attracts her to those men. It's polarity. It's the challenge. It's the feeling that there's something to conquer, an unexplored emotional territory. What I'm about to reveal next isn't manipulation in the toxic sense of the word. Manipulation is when you lie, deceive, or do something against her will. What I'll teach you is exactly the opposite. Being authentic in your masculinity, understanding what truly creates attraction, and acting accordingly with that understanding. Think with me. When a woman puts on makeup, chooses a beautiful outfit, uses a special perfume, is she being manipulative? Of course not. She's presenting herself in the best possible way. She's using tools to become more attractive. That's exactly what you'll do. Use psychological tools to awaken genuine attraction. To transform yourself into that man they can't forget, you need to understand the 4 fundamental pillars that will turn you from an ordinary guy into an attraction magnet. This isn't a superficial seduction strategy. It's a complete recalibration of your masculine energy, an awakening of forces that have always been dormant within you. You're about to discover how to move in that ancient dance between bodies and minds, how to activate the right triggers at the precise moment, how to pluck those emotional strings that resonate at frequencies most men don't even know exist. No more silent rejections. No more nights wondering why she's not texting you back. No more watching others less prepared, less intelligent, less sensitive than you get all the attention. The first pillar is movement. Seduction doesn't start with a polite hello that vanishes into thin air without a trace. It starts with a disruption, a break from the expected, a spark in the silence that awakens something dormant within her. Forget everything they told you about traditional introductions. Forget that robotic, "How are you?" that dies the moment it's uttered and immediately pigeonholes you as just another interaction in the crowd. The first move isn't about being nice or harmless. It's about taking control of the emotional rhythm from the first second, about establishing that you're not just another one in the flock of predictable men who approach her with the same tired lines and approaches she's heard 1,000 times. Imagine approaching her, but instead of being predictable like everyone else, you say something like, "You look like someone who hates small talk, but secretly loves chaos." In that moment, something shifts in her expression. She pauses, blinks, her brain fires up like an engine that just received high-octane fuel. Why does this happen? Because you've interrupted her automatic pattern, that mental filter programmed to automatically discard the generic men who approach her. In that instant, you're no longer one of them. You've made her curious, and curiosity is the gateway drug to desire. This is what most men never understand. The first sentence is the foundation of the entire game that follows. It's like the opening move in chess. It sets the tempo for the entire match. It defines the emotional battlefield. If you open weakly with something common and predictable, you've already put yourself on the defensive. You'll spend the rest of the interaction chasing her, trying to regain lost ground. But if you open strong with something unexpected, poetic, or slightly absurd, you gain the frame advantage. Now she's in your world playing by your rules. It's not about what you say exactly. It's about how sharply you cut through the daily noise. It's about projecting a clear psychological signal. I'm not here to impress you with desperation. I'm here to see if you're worth the game. And this isn't just verbal. It's energetic. It's your tone, your timing, the deliberate calm in your speech, that slight smile as if you already know how this whole thing is going to end. Men who approach with high-frequency, predictable lines are discarded by her subconscious in seconds. But a man who walks with a sense of controlled unpredictability, he becomes a question she wants to answer. Never forget this. Women are attracted to what they don't immediately understand. So be the enigma, be the disruption, be the man who speaks not to impress with pretty words, but to provoke something inside her that she had forgotten she could feel. Remember the last time you watched a movie that left you thinking for days? It wasn't because it explained everything. It was because it left empty spaces for your mind to fill in. The first move works the same way. Don't give her all the puzzle pieces. Give her just enough so her mind can't stop working on solving it, on solving you. But movement goes beyond words. It's physical, spatial, energetic. It's how you occupy a space, how you move, the cadence of your steps, the economy of your gestures. A lion doesn't run frantically across the savannah. It moves with purpose, with contained elegance, with the certainty that its prey will come to it at the right time. Observe the great seducers of history. They aren't hyperactive, nervous, or reactive. They are patient, deliberate, precise. They know that excessive movement communicates anxiety, and anxiety is repellent to female desire. When you move too fast, when you talk too much, when you occupy too much emotional space, you're screaming insecurity without saying a word. The man who has mastered the first pillar moves as if time belongs to him. He's not in a hurry because he knows good things take time. He doesn't chase opportunities because he understands that opportunities come to him. It's the difference between a rookie hunter who scares away his prey and an experienced predator who allows the prey to come to him. When you enter a space, you don't do it seeking approval. You enter as if the place was waiting for you. When you speak, you don't do it to fill awkward silences. You speak because you have something to say. When you approach her, you don't do it with the nervous energy of someone who fears rejection. You approach with the calm of someone who has already been rejected 1,000 times and survived perfectly fine. Think of that person you know who seems to have a gravity of their own. That person who, when they speak, everyone listens. That person who doesn't need to raise their voice to be heard. What do they have? They possess control of their own energetic field. They don't scatter their energy in unnecessary movements, in superfluous words, in excessive gestures. The hunter's movement is economy of energy. It's precision, it's intention, it's doing more with less. It's the art of subtraction. You don't add more and more to impress. You remove the unnecessary until only the essential remains. And the essential is magnetic because it's rare, because it's valuable, because it's not given indiscriminately. Think of the archetype of the samurai. Before drawing his sword, he is completely still. His mind is clear, his intention is crystal clear, and when he finally moves, he does so with such precision and speed that the outcome is inevitable. Your first move must have that quality. The stillness before the action, the clear intention before the execution, the internal certainty before the external manifestation. In a world where everyone screams to be heard, the calculated whisper becomes deafening. In an environment where everyone moves frantically, the deliberate calm becomes an attention magnet. In a context where everyone is available at a click, scarcity transforms into desire. The hunter's movement is, in essence, the manipulation of time and space to create a narrative where she wants to be the protagonist. You're not chasing, you're attracting. You're not impressing, you're intriguing. You're not asking for entry into her world, you're inviting her into yours. Have you noticed how great film directors don't show you everything at once? They give you glimpses, hints, clues. They know that what you imagine is much more powerful than what they can show you. The first pillar works the same way. Don't reveal yourself completely. Don't give her all your cards in the first hand. Maintain that air of mystery, that feeling that there's more, much more beneath the surface. The second pillar is attitude. This is where the entire foundation of attraction begins to harden into something unshakable, something untouchable, something extraordinarily rare in the modern world. Confidence isn't what you say, it's what you don't need to say. You see, she perceives everything before you open your mouth. She reads your essence. She observes how you sit, how long you maintain eye contact, whether your presence fills the room or begs for space. True confidence is silent. It walks unannounced, speaks slowly, moves with certainty, and, above all, doesn't fear loss. That's the attitude you need to embody. I don't need you, but I'm not afraid of you either. This is the stance that turns the entire power dynamic on its head. And once you learn it, she starts qualifying herself to you instead of you having to prove your worth to her. Let me make it visual so you fully understand. Think about the last time you walked into a car showroom. The salesman who stalked you, who clung to you like a shadow, who wouldn't stop asking you, "Do you like it? Do you want to test drive it?" What do you think? He radiated a desperation you could smell, and you instantly had the upper hand because his neediness diminished his value in your eyes. Now imagine another salesman. He greets you calmly, shows you the car with elegance, then retreats silently. He knows what he's offering. He knows you'll feel it if it's right for you. Suddenly, you feel the need to prove you're worthy of the deal. You start asking questions. You start justifying your interest. It's exactly the same in seduction. When you demonstrate that your life is complete, rich in purpose, full of joy, anchored in strength. With or without her, you become the prize, not the desperate hunter, not the emotional beggar pleading for attention. And women don't chase men they pity. They chase men they respect, men who represent something they desire to achieve or experience. How do you radiate this attitude through your body? Because words lie, but energy never lies. Shoulders relaxed, yet strong. Upright posture that speaks of dignity. Unwavering eye contact that doesn't apologize for existing. Slow, steady breathing. Precise and intentional movements as if you own time itself. No trembling hands. No nervously bouncing legs. No fast, anxious speech. You speak as if you trust your silence, because studies show that over 90% of communication is nonverbal. She doesn't just hear you, she feels you in every fiber of her being. And if your energy says, "Please love me," she'll pull away even if your words say something completely different. But if your presence says, "You're welcome to join me, but I don't bend for approval," she leans into you because detachment is intoxicating. It's addictive. It's what most men never manage to convey. This is the paradox that changes everything. The less you seek validation, the more your value multiplies in her eyes. So remember, don't chase her attention. Chase your own inner power. Because when a man becomes magnetic from within, everything on the outside starts to orbit around him as if he were the gravitational center of his own universe. The unshakable attitude isn't arrogance. Arrogance is insecurity disguised as confidence. It's loud, it's reactive, it's fragile. True confidence is quiet, it's proactive, it's solid. Arrogance needs constant validation. Authentic confidence is self-sustaining. Arrogance is easily offended. Real confidence finds humor even in adversity. Think of the great leaders in history, those who truly inspired, not those who simply commanded. What did they have in common? An internal certainty that was contagious. They didn't need to shout to be heard. They didn't need to threaten to be respected. Their mere presence communicated authority, not because they demanded it, but because they emanated it naturally. The man with an unshakable attitude doesn't lose his temper when challenged. He doesn't crumble when rejected. He doesn't fall apart into 1,000 pieces when things don't go as planned. He has an internal stability that is independent of external circumstances. And that stability, that rock in the middle of the storm, is what women find irresistibly attractive. In a world where most men are emotional weather vanes, where their mood depends completely on how she treats them, where their self-esteem rises and falls depending on whether they get her attention or not, you will be different. You will be that statistical anomaly, that emotional unicorn that maintains its center regardless of external tides. The unshakable attitude is built from the inside out. It's not something you can fake for long. It's the result of constant inner work. It's product of knowing yourself, accepting your shadows, embracing your weaknesses without being defined by them. It's the fruit of having faced your fears one by one until they no longer control you. A man with this attitude isn't infallible, isn't superheroic, isn't immune to pain or failure. He has simply learned to navigate storms without sinking, to fall and rise stronger, to use every obstacle as a stepping stone toward a better version of himself. And that resilience, that ability to absorb blows and keep moving forward, is magnetic because it's rare. Think of those moments when you've been completely present, totally immersed in an activity you love, where time seems to stop and your mind is crystal clear. In those flow states, you radiate a natural confidence that is not manufactured or forced. That's the zone from which you should operate when you're with her. Not from the anxiety of pleasing, not from the fear of rejection, but from that total presence that is only possible when you're not constantly concerned with how you're perceived. Most men relate to women from a place of scarcity. I'm missing something and you can provide it. The unshakable attitude relates from a place of abundance. My cup is already full, but I'd love to share with you. The difference is subtle, but the impact is astronomical. When you look at a woman from scarcity, the pressure she feels is suffocating. You're implicitly asking her to be your source of validation, your reason for existing, your life's purpose. It's an impossible burden for any human being to carry. When you look at her from abundance, you invite her to an already prepared feast. She doesn't have to emotionally feed you. She just has to enjoy the banquet you've already created. The third pillar is strategic negligence. This is the most counterintuitive of all. the seductive art of taking a step back right at the peak of connection. Not because you don't care, but because you understand one of the most powerful truths about female desire. Longing creates obsession. The void generates desperate yearning. You know that perfect moment when the conversation flows effortlessly, when smiles come naturally, when she's completely present with you, absorbed in your presence, hanging on your every word. That's not the time to push forward and squeeze every last drop of that connection. That's the time to leave, to disappear, just when everything feels most alive and promising. Yes, exactly. At the peak, right when it feels most electric and full of possibilities, you simply say, "I'd love to stay longer, but I have to go. Let's pick this up another time." What happens next isn't logical. It's completely chemical and primitive. Her brain releases a significant amount of dopamine, and then you disappear. You've just become the episode that ends on a cliffhanger, the song that cuts off at the best part, the book that closes just as the plot gets interesting. Think of the last addictive series you watched. It didn't explain everything, didn't resolve all the plot lines. It left you hungry for more. That's what you need to become, not the 3-hour movie that drags on until everyone loses interest, but the tight, tension-filled episode that leaves her breathless and counting down the days until the next season. This means you don't respond the moment she texts you. You don't answer every call as if you're waiting by the phone. You live your life. You move through your world like a man on a mission, a man who has options, purpose, his own gravity. Because when she notices your absence, her emotional radar activates in a way she can't control. Where are you? Who are you with? Why haven't you responded? And in that moment, she's not just thinking about you, she's feeling you. Now you're looping in her mind, replaying your voice, rereading your last text as if it were a secret code she needs to decipher. This is the crucial shift when she starts to chase, not out of strategy, but out of tension, unresolved emotion, a craving for resolution. That's what most men never understand. They stay too long, respond too fast, eliminate all tension, and in doing so, they kill desire in its cradle. But you will learn to gracefully withdraw, to leave her with a taste, not the whole meal, to create silences that resonate louder than words, because that's the most beautiful and cruel paradox. The less she has of you, the more she'll need you. This isn't blind arrogance. It's not calculated manipulation. It's pure psychology applied with mastery. And the man who masters it doesn't chase like a desperate predator. He attracts by letting go, pulls by releasing, conquers by withdrawing at the perfect moment. Strategic negligence operates on fundamental psychological principles. When something is constant, it becomes invisible. The air you breathe is vital to your existence, but you're rarely aware of it. You take it for granted because it's always there. Similarly, when your attention, your desire, your availability are constant, they become invisible to her. She takes them for granted because she doesn't have to work to get them. This goes beyond responding to messages or making calls. It's a complete philosophy of interaction. It's understanding that human desire intensifies with resistance. It's recognizing that we value more what we've had to work for. It's applying strategic scarcity to your emotional presence. Think about how economies work. What happens when there's an oversupply? The price drops. What happens when there's scarcity? The price skyrockets. Your attention, your time, your emotional energy have a price in the market of desire. When you flood the market, you devalue the product. When you create strategic scarcity, the perceived value multiplies exponentially. Negligence isn't abandonment. It's not calculated coldness. It's not cruel manipulation. It's understanding the rhythm of desire, the cycles of tension and release that keep interest alive. It's knowing when to advance and when to retreat, when to give and when to hold back, when to speak and when to be silent. Great musicians understand that music isn't just in the notes they play, but also in the pauses between them. Silence is as important as sound. Similarly, your absence is as powerful as your presence. The moments when you're not with her, the spaces between texts, the days without contact are part of the composition, not voids to avoid. This dynamic operates at a neurological level. When there's a constant reward, the brain adapts, and dopamine stops flowing. When the reward is intermittent, unpredictable, the brain remains on alert, hungry, eager for the next dose. It's no coincidence that the most powerful addictions work on this very principle. Most men become constant providers of validation. They are always available, always attentive, always hungry for approval. They are predictable as the sunrise, and in doing so, they neutralize any possibility of mystery, any space for curiosity, any opportunity for her to wonder, what is he doing? What is he thinking? Who is he with? The master of strategic negligence understands that he must leave space for her to miss him. He knows that he must create voids for her to fill with fantasies, assumptions, mental elaborations that are almost always more interesting than reality. He understands that he must leave the stage when the audience still wants more, not when they're already satisfied, or even worse, bored. But there's a delicate balance here. Too much negligence turns into real indifference. Too little transforms into excessive availability. The art is in the balance, in that middle zone where she's never completely sure where you are emotionally, but also doesn't feel like you've completely disappeared. It's like the tide. It advances and retreats, rises and falls, but never completely abandons the shore. There's a rhythm, a pulse, a cadence. You're present, intense, connected, and then you pull back just enough so she feels your absence without interpreting it as total disinterest. Strategic negligence requires self-control. It requires the ability to resist the impulse to respond immediately, to seek constant validation, to fill every silence with words. It requires the strength to walk away when everything in you wants to stay. And that self-control in itself is deeply attractive because it shows you're master of your impulses, not a slave to them. Common men are reactive. They respond immediately to every stimulus, a text, a call, an invitation. There's no filter, no consideration, no strategy. They're like children who can't resist a sweet even if they know it will hurt them. The man who has mastered strategic negligence is different. He's proactive, not reactive. He consciously decides when to respond, when to appear, when to reward. He doesn't let his impulses dictate his actions. The fourth pillar is audacity, taking initiative and escalating the interaction when necessary, without doubts that paralyze you. This is the moment of truth where most men fail miserably, where all the previous pillars fall apart if you don't have the courage to act. You created attraction, built emotional tension, played the game of detachment. Now you need to act decisively. And here's where fear appears in all its ugliness. The fear of rejection, the fear of ruining everything you've built, the fear of being seen as invasive or inappropriate. But let me tell you a secret that will transform your perspective forever. Women want you to take initiative. They fantasize about a man who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to go for it without apologizing for his masculinity. Almost no one realizes this, but hesitation kills more opportunities than rejection itself. When you feel the moment is right, act without asking permission, without asking if you can. You read her signals and move forward with the confidence of someone who understands the silent language of desire. It could be taking her hand while walking. It could be pulling her closer during a conversation. It could be that kiss at the perfect moment when silence speaks louder than 1,000 words. Calculated audacity is what separates men from boys who play at being men. It's what makes her mention you to her friends the next day. It's what creates impactful memories she can't forget even if she tries. Are you ready for this level of intensity and commitment? Audacity isn't recklessness. It's not blind impulsivity. It's not clumsy aggression. It's precise action based on precise reading. It's the decisive move that comes after careful observation. It's the surgical intervention that happens at the exact moment, neither before nor after. Think of a great chess player. He doesn't move pieces randomly hoping something will work. He studies the board. He calculates multiple scenarios. He anticipates reactions. And when he finally makes his move, he does so with absolute conviction, without hesitation, without regret. Calculated audacity works the same way. You observe, you calibrate, you wait for the precise moment, and when it arrives, you act without hesitation. The moment of truth reveals who you truly are. Are you a man who recognizes an opportunity and seizes it? Or are you a boy who sees the opportunity and freezes, waiting for some explicit permission that will never come? Most romantic opportunities die in that limbo of indecision. That moment where there was chemistry, there was tension, there was mutual desire, but neither of you took the decisive step. And the next day, the magic has dissipated, the window has closed, the opportunity has vanished like mist under the sun. Look around you. The men who naturally attract women, the ones who never seem to lack romantic options, aren't necessarily the best looking, the richest, or the most charismatic. They are the ones who act when others hesitate. They are the ones who take calculated risks while others play it safe. They are the ones who prefer rejection to uncertainty. Audacity is attractive because it's rare. In a world where most men have been conditioned to suppress their impulses, to ask for permission, to fear offending, the man who acts decisively stands out like a beacon in the dark, not because he's aggressive or disrespectful, but because he trusts his reading of the situation and his ability to navigate the complexities of human desire. There's something profoundly liberating about calculated audacity. It's the refusal to live in the limbo of what if. It's the conscious decision that it's better to regret something you did than something you never had the courage to try. It's the understanding that rejection, though painful, is temporary, but regret for lost opportunities can last a lifetime. The fear of rejection is one of the biggest obstacles to audacity. But here's a truth few understand. Rejection isn't personal. It's not a judgment on your worth as a human being. It's simply information about compatibility, timing, circumstances. The audacious man understands this. He doesn't take rejection as a condemnation of his person, but as data to adjust his approach. Think of the great innovators, revolutionary artists, successful entrepreneurs. They all share one quality: the willingness to act despite the fear of failure. It's not that they don't feel fear, it's that they don't let fear paralyze them. And this same quality is magnetic in the context of seduction. Calculated audacity has a powerful side effect. It communicates confidence, and nothing is more attractive than a man who genuinely trusts himself. Not a false, artificially inflated confidence, but authentic confidence that comes from knowing your strengths, accepting your weaknesses, and moving forward anyway. When you take that audacious step, when you take her hand, when you pull her closer to you, when you initiate that kiss, you're doing much more than a physical move. You're declaring without words, "I know what I want and I'm not afraid to go for it." And that silent declaration resonates on a primitive level, activating attraction circuits that have existed long before civilization. The audacious man never asks, "Can I kiss you?" He reads the body language, the sustained gaze, the physical proximity, the subtle movements toward him. He correctly interprets those signals and acts accordingly, not with abruptness, not with desperation, but with the calm assurance of someone who knows exactly what he's doing. And here's another truth few men understand. Audacity isn't just physical, it's emotional. It's the willingness to show yourself vulnerable when others hide behind masks. It's the courage to express your desires without apology when others disguise them as jokes or vague innuendos. It's the strength to say, "I like you," without waiting to see if she likes you first. Now let's talk about something crucial most people overlook: the magnetic touch. This isn't about uncontrolled lust. It's not about groping or forcing situations. This is ancient ritual, primitive language that transcends words. Touch is humanity's oldest language, older than words, deeper than logic. It bypasses the mind and speaks directly to the subconscious where real decisions are made. But here's the secret that changes everything. She's not attracted to the touch itself. She's attracted to how it happens, its perfect timing, its rhythm, its clear intention. The right touch at the right time can bind a memory to her body in a way that will last forever. But the wrong touch, the rushed, the forced, kills everything instantly. So how does it begin? Not with blind audacity, but with calculated innocence. A light touch on her shoulder as you laugh at something she said. A hand gently guiding her through a doorway. A slow, playful high five that lingers half a second longer than normal. Moments that feel natural, but leave an indelible mark. You escalate not through pressure, but through presence. You touch, and then you withdraw. And that withdrawal is everything. It creates absence, and absence creates longing. This is what most men never understand. The touch isn't about the contact. It's about what happens in the moment after. Because when you touch and stop, her body feels the silence and starts to miss you before you've even left. This is the intermittent touch, the psychological equivalent of a heartbeat. On, off, near, far, safe, dangerous. It builds tension she can't name. It floods her system with oxytocin and dopamine, the same chemicals released during pleasure and connection. But you're not connecting. You're engraving yourself into her nervous system like a mark she can never erase. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more natural it seems, the more powerful it becomes. You shouldn't telegraph intent. You shouldn't hesitate. You touch like a man who's done it 1,000 times, not because you're desperate, but because you're self-contained. Your hand doesn't ask for permission. It reads her reaction. If she leans in, you know. If she pulls away, you adapt. Because masculine touch isn't invasive, it's observant. It listens with the skin, and when used correctly, it makes her feel something terribly rare in the modern world. A man who is in control of himself and attuned to her at the same time. That's magnetic. That's what keeps her up at night, because long after the words are forgotten, she'll remember how you made her feel. Not in her mind, in her body. There's one final weapon you must master, one most men don't even think about: cold reading. It's not magic, it's precision. The silent art of reading what she wants before she even knows it, because every woman leaves subtle signals, not in her words, but in her patterns. The way she dresses, the speed of her voice, the rhythm of her walk, what she posts online, where she goes, what she avoids. You're no longer just a man. You're an emotional detective reading between the lines, tracking the energy behind the words, feeling the signals she doesn't say aloud. A woman who wears flashy, sparkling jewelry is screaming for attention. She wants the spotlight and confirmation that she still has it. A woman in subtle, elegant tones is deeper, more private. She yearns to be understood, not just superficially seen. Observe her speaking style. If she speaks fast, gesticulates widely, she's spontaneous, reactive, guided by pure feeling. If she speaks slowly, carefully, she's calculated, guarded, strategic in every move. And when you adjust your energy to match her hidden nature, when you reflect what she truly needs without her asking, you become irresistible because you're not offering what she's consciously demanding. You're offering what she's secretly dying to receive. That's the real power, the understanding that every human being hungers for something they can't even articulate. But here's the trap most men fall into. They try to do everything instantly. They gorge on techniques, force results, imitate, act, perform a script that isn't theirs. But this isn't acting. It's the embodiment of your true masculine nature. So slow down, start with just one pillar. Apply it for a week until it becomes real, until it's part of you. Then another and another, until the system isn't something you memorize, but something you are. Because this method isn't about becoming someone else. It's about unleashing the real you, the alpha society buried under years of shame, guilt, and conditioning that made you believe your masculinity was something to apologize for. Desire thrives on unpredictability. Desire, like any human impulse, intensifies when the reward isn't constant or guaranteed. If you're always available, if you're always the one initiating intimacy, if you're always willing to please, your reward loses value. Most men make the mistake of becoming constant dispensers of pleasure, unaware that excessive availability kills longing. Machiavelli, master in using reward to maintain loyalty, or in this case, desire, would say, "Men love at their convenience, but fear your discretion." In this context, the fear is her fear of not knowing when or if that reward, your desire, will return. Your mistake. You become an inexhaustible source of sexual attention, a faucet she can turn on at will. The Machiavellian solution: administer your reward selectively. This doesn't mean denying her sex or affection. It means that access to your intimacy, your desire, your sexual energy is not a right. It's earned and must be maintained. Create moments of intensity, then subtly pull back with distance. Let her miss you. Let her crave the next encounter. Don't always be the one to initiate. Let her chase you. Let her feel like she has to earn your attention, that she has to remind you why she excites you. When desire isn't guaranteed, when there's enough uncertainty about when and how the spark will reignite, she invests more in you. Her mind becomes obsessed with earning your attention, with reconquering your desire. The scarcity of reward activates her dopamine system, creating a cycle of craving and satisfaction that keeps her constantly wanting more of you. You become the only man who gives her that dopamine rush that never settles into monotony. Now I know what many might be thinking. A voice in your head might have whispered, "Is this manipulation?" Let me answer clearly and unequivocally, no. Allow me to define harmful manipulation: lying, deceiving, coercing to control another person, stripping her of her will and using her for personal gain, causing harm. That's not what we're doing here. What we've discussed is reading the terrain, understanding the nature of human desire, recognizing the psychological dynamics already at play in every sexual interaction, whether you're aware of them or not. This is using what already exists. The only difference is that this time you play with strategic awareness. You're not the one being manipulated. Think about it. Doesn't she respond to mystery? Doesn't she respond to authority? Doesn't she crave what's hard to get? Doesn't she hide secret fantasies? Doesn't she get bored when pleasure is always available? Yes, these are human predispositions, and when properly activated, they awaken the most powerful desire. She operates by instinct without thinking about the rules. You, by understanding the rules, now have the opportunity to become conscious, to be strategic, to be intentional in how you ignite and maintain that fire. It's not about being a predator. It's about becoming a master in the art of attraction. The difference is substantial and significant. The predator seeks to exploit weaknesses for his own benefit without caring about the harm caused. The master understands human nature and works with it, not against it, to create experiences that both enjoy. Wake up once and for all. Time is slipping away while you stand there ruminating, overanalyzing every possibility. Other men are already using this and getting results while you keep watching, keep doubting, keep wondering if this really works. Ask yourself, 5 years from now, do you want to be in exactly the same place with the same silent frustrations? Watching the woman you wanted in the arms of a man who simply knew how to move? Or do you want to be the man she can't forget? The man who never begs? The man who chooses instead of being chosen? The man who doesn't accept emotional crumbs? The man who creates attraction like clockwork? That choice is yours and always has been. But remember this as if your life depends on it. Knowledge without action is dead. You can consume 100 videos, read 100 books, but if you don't step into the ring, you'll be stuck in powerless theory forever. Silence speaks when words are silent. Do you feel it? That void expanding like a universe between who you are and who you could be. That labyrinth where you got lost, where you buried the magnetic man under layers of conditioning and fear. Every minute you remain paralyzed. Every opportunity you let pass by indecision. The scalpel of regret cuts deeper. I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to wake you up with a slap of reality. She doesn't wait for the indecisive. While you analyze, another man acts. While you plan, another man conquers. While you fear, another man lives. Nature is ruthless with the weak but generous with the bold. It's not cruelty, it's universal law. The void you feel right now in your chest has a name: wasted potential. Every man who has crossed the chasm of fear knows it. Every man who has unleashed the magnetic monster within him understands the secret code. I don't chase, I attract. Comment that right now. I don't chase, I attract. This is your tribal password, your declaration of emotional independence. Because tomorrow I'll be back with the forbidden method that shakes the female nervous system to its core. The technique that makes her unable to stop thinking about you even when she's with someone else. Wake up, sleeping warrior. The clock doesn't stop and the sand slips away while you hesitate.